On.
Welcome everyone to today's Town of Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is March 11th, 2021. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, let us know. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and his March 23rd, 2020 order including limitation on the number of people that may gather in place and many other dictums that have come from him at that time. This meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board is being conducted by remote participation. No person in attendance of the members of the public will be permitted. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410. Then you have to put in the conference ID number, which is 817-197-36, and then hit the pound. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. Paul, I'm going to ask you for a motion, please, that all members of the board would vote on to have this remote participation meeting.
This is simple. I'll move to have a remote participation meeting.
David Veach.
Okay, then I'll ask everyone in attendance to please give me your full name and how you vote on this. So we'll start with Dave Veach.
David H. Veach votes yes.
Paul.
Paul C. Semple votes yes.
Buck.
James M. Upson, yes.
Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, yes.
Mr. Thompson.
David Reynolds Thompson, yes.
And I'm David S. Nixon, and I vote yes. I should ask that all citizens and on-board members participating in the call via the phone, well, how else are you going to do it? Anyway, in the call via the phone, only for the name and the last four digits of the phone number for identification purposes. The meeting is held in the following manner. First of all, the hearing notice will be read by Sarah B. Clark. Sarah is the PTO, Principal Permitting Officer of the Town of Chatham, as well as the Executive Secretary for both the Zoning Board of Appeals and the HDC. After that is read, the representative times could be a little rebuttal after that. Following that, board members may direct their questions to anyone who presented anything in the discussion. After we've heard that information, we would then close the hearing and go into deliberation. This is not open to the public for participation unless a board member includes an individual in the discussion. We would then vote on the appeal or application. In Commonwealth and Massachusetts, you need to have a supermajority vote in favor. In our case, there are 5 voters. That means you need 4 to be successful, for voting yes to be successful. The voters today are Dave Veach, Paul Semple, Buck, Dennis Sullivan, and myself. All are taken by roll call, which kind of drags it up, but it's part of what we're forced to do with this remote participation. So with that, we go to the first application, which is 20-080. Sarah, please.
Application number 20-080, Chatham Point LLC, care of William Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 68 Shell Drive, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 14K, Block 7, Lot W50. The applicant seeks a dimensional variance from Section 4B4D, and it is located entirely within the Coastal Conservancy District, floodplain elevation 11. The proposed guest quarters and new dwelling will be non-conforming, and that they will be located within the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 3,697 square feet, 43.7%, and the proposed building coverage is 7,635 square feet, 90.3%, where 15% is maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming and it contains 8,455 square feet of contiguous buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required for a single dwelling. The lot contains 120,100 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required in Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6 and 9, and Sections 5E and 8D to B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw. This was continued from December 17th, 2020 and January 28th, 2021.
Ms. Riley?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Bill Riley on behalf of Catema Point LLC. We would like to withdraw the application for a variance and request a continuance for the special permit regarding revisions to the pre-existing non-conforming residence and also moving the antique on the property for a period of 1 month if your schedule will allow it.
Well, the schedule would be for April 22nd. That's the earliest we could do it.
Yeah, that's fine then. That's fine.
Okay, all right, so let's take the two things first. First, we'll take the withdrawal of the variance. Paul, would you make a motion, please?
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to grant the request for continuance on the variance, or excuse me, the withdrawal on the variance.
Okay,
David Veach seconds.
okay, we need to vote on that. Mr. Veach?
Veach, yes.
Paul?
That votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Dennis?
Sullivan votes yes.
I vote yes, that's a unanimous vote. Okay, then, Paul, we need a motion to continue the special permit application to April 22nd.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to grant the continuance of the request for special permits to April 22nd.
Second by David Veach.
Okay, we need to vote on that. Veach?
Veach votes yes.
Semple votes yes.
Votes yes.
Dennis?
Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the board members.
All right. Okay, Sarah, let's go on to 21-010.
Application number 21-010, Everett Realty Trust of Thad Eldridge, 1038 Main Street, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 44 Snowberry Lane, also shown in the town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 2B, Block 111, Lot R62. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the construction of additions. The proposed additions will comply with all bulk conventional requirements of the bylaw, but considers a substantial alteration, and under the second except clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, such substantial alteration requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 1,410 square feet, 8.9%, and the proposed
addition in the rear is going on piers so the septic tank can remain. We're not expecting any other issues under the other criteria. If there are questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate on your screen now so that Sarah can recognize you.
I see no one that wishes to speak in favor of the application.
Okay, then I will read with the correspondence, which consists of a note from Judith Giorgio, Board of Health, Town of Chatham. She writes, I have reviewed the plan to renovate this property. The proposed plan does not increase in septic flow. The plan proposes a new septic system because the addition encroaches on the existing system. This will require review and approval by the health department prior to the construction of additions. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to ask a question or speak against this application? If so, please indicate on the screen now so that Sarah can recognize you.
I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition or has a
Okay.
question.
Okay, very good. So now we'll have questions from the board. We'll start with Buck.
Mr. Chair, I have no questions.
Dennis,
Dennis Sullivan, I have no questions.
Dave Thompson,
Dave Thompson doesn't have any questions either.
Dave Veach,
David Veach has no questions.
Paul,
Paul Semple has no questions.
and I have no questions myself. So Paul, a motion, please.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David
Okay, that's, there, needs a vote. Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Semple votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Dennis,
Sullivan votes yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, deliberations, Dennis. I'm sorry. Yeah, Dennis.
This is a pretty straightforward project. I see it meets all our criteria, and I'm planning on voting in favor of it.
Dave Thompson.
Dave Thompson is going to echo what Dennis just said. It's a nice addition. It's going to fit right in the neighborhood. I find nothing wrong with it. I would vote yes.
Dave Veach.
Certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I agree with all previous, it meets all of our criteria. I'll support it.
Paul.
I agree. This meets all of our criteria and I intend to support it.
Buck.
I agree with all the previous speakers.
And I do too. Okay, does anyone feel conditions are necessary on that?
This is Paul Semple. It seemed to me that given the location there and sort of a cul-de-sac, that if the construction equipment is contained on site, there should be no problems with it.
Okay, anyone disagree with that statement? Okay, then Paul, if you would make a motion that would include that condition.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted with the condition that all construction activity and vehicles will be contained on site.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, then we will vote on that. Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Semple votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Dennis,
Sullivan votes yes.
and I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Ted. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
All right, Sarah, 21-011.
Application number 21-011, Robert E. Kelly Jr. and Maureen E. Kerwin, owners of property located at 27 Library Lane, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 15D, Block 20, Lot B2. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the construction of a 96 square foot shed. The proposed shed will comply with the road and abutter setback requirements. The existing building coverage is 2,682 square feet, 26.8%. The proposed building coverage is 2,778 square feet, 27.7%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 10 square feet, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw.
Okay, so I believe the presenters are the owners themselves. So either Robert or Maureen, the floor is yours, or both of you.
Thank you for having us. Maureen and I are both here. This is Bob. We were simply looking to do a small garden shed in the back right corner of the yard, and something really elegant and in keeping with the recent exterior renovation that we just did. And we've chatted with most of our neighbors, and they all seem to be on board, and that's the program.
Okay, I don't think I'll have you go through the criteria. It seems a little overkill for something of this nature. All right, then I would ask, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate on the screen so that Sarah can recognize you.
I see no one that wishes to speak in favor.
Okay, then I will read the correspondence. First is dated March 9th. It's from Judith Giorgio, Town of Chatham, Port of Hill. And she writes, no comment on Library Lane on sewer, no issues. I like that. And then we have a note. This is from Paul M. Goldensay, I believe he would pronounce his name. He might disagree, but we're going to do that. He and his wife, I think, Ginny, live at 43 Library Lane. They write on March 8th, this letter is in support of the appeal to install a shed on the property at 27. As discussed with the Kellys, the proposed shed would directly abut our property at the northwest corner of the lot. We have no objections to its location and do not foresee any drainage, lot coverage, or visual issues with the proposed placement. Then we have a email. This is from Betty Magnuson. She writes on March 7th, I agree and approve the Kelly addition. She lives at 58 Library Lane. And then we have a note. This is from Carol and Rich Mack at 55 Library Lane. On March 7th, they write, we agree and approve. And that's it. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that has a question or would specifically like to speak against this application? If so, please indicate on the screen so that Sarah may recognize you.
We have no one in the audience that wishes to speak in opposition or has a question.
Okay, then we'll go to questions from the board. We'll start with Dave Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Dave Thompson does not have any questions whatsoever.
Dave Veach.
Dave Veach has no questions.
Paul.
Paul Semple has no questions.
Bob.
Buck has no question.
Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, I have no questions. The cupola looks kind of nice, and I thought that might generate some conversation. But I guess not.
We'll see. Okay, so Paul, how about a motion to go into deliberation?
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
All right, we've got to vote on that. Dave Veach.
Veach votes yes.
Paul.
Semple votes yes.
Buck.
Buck votes yes.
Dennis.
Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. So, Dave Veach, what do you think of this project?
Well, I also noted the cupola, but as a birdhouse, I would hope that that's passes muster with some members of the board. It's certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. It meets all of the criteria. It's a nice looking shed, and I would enthusiastically support it.
Paul.
This is Paul Semple. I agree with Dave Veach's comments.
Buck.
This is Buck. It's certainly not detrimental to the neighborhood. I'll support it.
Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, I certainly would support it. I confirm with everybody else. It's a great project.
Dave Thompson.
Dave Thompson would definitely support it. Nice little addition to the neighborhood. We have a shed that we have a cupola on. We don't have anything like a white light in it. But if they wanted to change it a little bit, a white light would look really nice. Thank you.
Well, maybe it would to you, Mr. Thompson. Perhaps their neighbors wouldn't think so. So, okay. Well, I have nothing to discuss. So, Paul, a motion, please.
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve it, subject to, I guess the question I have in my mind is, how does this get constructed, or is it constructed and then brought on site?
Bob or Maureen?
Yes, it's constructed and then brought on site.
So basically, you're just going to have equipment there on the day that it's actually installed?
Correct.
And obviously, Library Lane is very narrow and congested and a lot of traffic. Is that something that would be done on a weekend, or how would that be worked out?
Yeah, it's probably, well, it's probably not going to be ready for 9 months, so we definitely be doing it off season. We do look forward to having the library back open, however. But we'd be
All right,
we would be very careful and cautious.
From my viewpoint, I don't see a need for any restrictions then, other than to say, move for approval as submitted.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we'll take a vote on that. Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Sample votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Dennis,
Sullivan votes yes.
and I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Bob and Maureen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, we move on to 21-012.
Application number 21-012. Christopher Seifert, care of Gene Copeland, 14 Stagecoach Drive, South Chatham, Mass. 02659. Owner of property located at 2469 Main Street, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 4D, Block 52, Lot 25. The applicant seeks an appeals permit under Section 225-19 of the Town of Chatham sign bylaw to allow for the placement of an 8-inch by 57-inch, 3.2 square foot ladder board on the existing non-conforming ground sign and the placement of an 18-inch by 24-inch, 3 square foot wall sign. The lot contains 21,149 square feet in an R20 zoning district. The proposed sign requires an appeals permit under Section 225-19 of the Chatham sign bylaw.
Okay, I don't know who is the presenter. Is it Christopher Seifert or Gene Copeland? Whoever it is, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Jean, and we wish to add a bigger sign on the wall. And then on the ladder board, it's 8 by 57 inches. Just so that it's more visible from the street.
Okay, do you have any comments on the decision criteria that we are to review?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
Okay, well, whatever we do, we have criteria. And so I'll remind you of what that is. That the specific site is an appropriate location for the proposed sign or signs. Number 2, the proposed sign or signs will not be a nuisance or a hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Number 3, the proposed sign or signs will not adversely affect properties in the neighborhood. And number 4, the special requirements for the permit are in accord with the general spirit and intent of the bylaw.
Okay, no, I think that we've fulfilled all those requirements. I don't think that it's a hazard to traffic going by. I think, yeah, I think that it's fine. Do you?
All right, okay.
I'm not sure.
That's enough. So, I will ask if there's anybody in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of these 2 signs. If so, please indicate on the screen so that Sarah can recognize.
We have no one in the audience other than our applicants and our members.
Okay, then the correspondence consists of 2 forms from the HBDC, Historic Business District Commission. The first one has to do with a ladder board, and the commission voted 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining. It was approved. It's the standard conditions. Any changes or alterations to the approved certificate of appropriateness require additional approval by the HBDC. And this is signed by Darcy Sequin on February 17th. Darcy is the chair of the HBDC. And then we also have another one. This has to do with the wall sign. And on February 17th, the same thing happened. 5 in favor, not 0. And again, the specific condition is the wall sign should be no larger than 18 by 21.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably something I missed on the other one. No. Okay. So that's the entire correspondence. I will ask, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak against this or as a specific question? If so, please indicate to Sarah now.
I see no one in the audience that wishes to speak in opposition or has a specific question.
Okay. So we'll have questions from the board. We'll start with Buck.
Buck has no questions.
Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, I have no questions.
Dave Thompson.
Dave Thompson has no questions, sir.
Dave Veach.
Dave Veach has no questions.
Paul.
Paul Semple, I do have a couple of questions. One is on the ladder sign. Is that board longer? It looks longer in the photograph than the existing ladders that are there.
No, it's not. They put that in. That's not an accurate picture. They just made the pictures for your viewing so that you would see what it would look like. It would be the exact same 8 inches by 57 inches as the other signs.
Okay.
It's because the sign company did that so that you could see what it would look like.
Yep. All right. Well, that clarifies that for me. The other question I had is the wall sign. Is that going to be, is the budget blind sign going to be removed?
Yes, it is. It's not our sign to take down, so we wanted to be respectful of the people who own it. They are no longer there, but we had our sign up so that you could see the comparison. The
Okay.
sign that they approved is a little bit bigger so that you could see it from the road.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Okay, then Paul, we'd entertain a motion to go into deliberations.
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we need to vote on that. Dave Veach.
Veach votes yes.
Paul.
Semple votes yes.
Buck.
Buck votes yes.
Dennis.
Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. So, discussion on this. Let's start with Buck. Start with that.
Well, HBDC was unanimous in their decision, so I see no reason, so I'll support it.
Dennis.
It certainly meets the 4 standards set out in the bylaw, so I would support it.
Dave Thompson.
I would support it. If HBDC is in favor, I would be in favor. Thank you.
Dave Veach.
Yes, I agree with all the previous. It meets all the 4 criteria adequately.
Okay, and Paul?
I agree. It meets the criteria that you set forth earlier. So on that basis, I would move to approve the application as submitted.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we will vote on that. Dave Veach.
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Buck?
Did you hear me, Dave?
I did not.
Buck votes yes.
Dennis?
Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
So Sarah, let's go into 21-013.
Application number 21-013, Joseph and Nicoletta Lasella, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650. Owners of property located at 27 Beacon Hill, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 4E, Block 19A, Lot M3. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the construction of an addition. The proposed addition will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration, and under the second except clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, such substantial alteration requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 950 square feet, 7.7%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,774 square feet, 14.4%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming, and that it contains 14,428 square feet, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Litchfield.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bill Litchfield here on behalf of Joe and Nikki Lasella. I believe Mrs. Lasella is on with us online, and our builder, Bob Stello, may be as well. This is the second Bransford, Bjorkland, South Chatham garage you have this afternoon. And I will be, Sarah's going to put up the picture of the cupola-free garage proposed to be added to the Lasella's home, which they have owned for the last quarter century. They were original owners of this property, and as time is passing, they would like to make more year-round use of it and perhaps retire here, and they would like a garage, not an unreasonable request. So the plans there in front of you are fairly straightforward. The simple proposal, which meets all of the dimensional and bulk requirements of the bylaw, so I'll go into the criteria as to adequacy of site. The quarter-acre site created under prior zoning is adequate for the addition of the garage, which will, as I said, allow for more year-round use and eventual retirement. And the addition meets all dimensional requirements of the bylaw. As to compatibility of size, on the third sheet that Sarah was kind enough to send out earlier today, we are currently an extremely modest house, only 6.6% of the entire lot, 7.7% without the panhandle. And if you approve the special permit, it will remain compatible as to living area, gross floor area, and coverage. And in light of the location, you went out there, it can be seen from the bike path, but otherwise it's not readily visible. As to the extent of increase in nonconformity, there is none. Our sole nonconformity right now is deck size, although the deck apparently may encroach by a couple of inches, but that's not being changed. Suitability of site, there are no changes, no environmental issues. Scale, sighting, mass, views, and vistas. What we have now is a simple and attractive Cape-style home, typical of the neighborhood and of our community as a whole. And if you approve the special permit, it will remain that way. The connecting addition and garage match the traditional architectural details. It will have no impact on scale or streetscape. And the closest abutters on that plan to the left and directly in front or below have written in support. Compatibility of use is no change. Obviously, it's a residential use. No water and sewer issues. The chair will read a letter from the health agent indicating that she has no concern, no impact on noise and litter, traffic flow, or safety. So the question, as you know, is whether the proposed connecting addition and garage in full compliance with all requirements of the bylaw is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I think you can find that it is not. It is not at all detrimental. In fact, it's a simple request to construct a garage in full compliance with all zoning requirements. The Historic Business District Commission, curiously enough, because of an old zoning line, has jurisdiction over the property. They've reviewed it, the proposed addition, and they have already issued a certificate of appropriateness. This is a Bransford Bjorkland case where the only nonconformity is the lot, the size of the lot. The two affected abutters to the west and the south, who are essentially the only people who can see it, who have written in support. So in light of the criteria and the plans in this location, I think you can find that the proposed garage is not substantially more detrimental. We'd certainly be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate on the screen now so that Sarah can recognize.
I see no one in the audience that wishes to speak in favor.
Okay, I will read the correspondence. First, we have a memo. This is from Judith Giorgio, Chatham Board of Health. She writes on 3/8. I've reviewed the plan to add an addition. The proposed plan will not add septic flow to the property, nor will the addition encroach on the setbacks required for the septic system. I have no concerns. Then this is a note from Norma Avalar, and she kind of wrote it down on the notice that was sent to her. So I don't know what date it was, but it was received by the Department of Community Development on March 3rd. She writes in her hand, do you happen to notice any discrepancies here? This is not an addition. It appears to be a whole new dwelling. Then she writes, what is the point of working dutifully, honestly, and diligently over a substantial amount of time and number of meetings if conclusions and designs to benefit all of the townspeople can so easily be changed, modified, or blatantly ignored with question marks? Please, enough is enough. And again, that's Norma Avalar, and you'd have to ask Sarah what her address is, because I don't know. Then we have a memo. This is from Janet and John Newton. They're at 2334 Main Street. And they write, and this was received by Department of Community Development on March 9th. We're abutters. They have shared their plans for adding a garage and some additional living area, and we are writing in support of their application. This is an appropriate project and will not be detrimental to our neighborhood, in our opinion. Then we got an email. This is from Loring Mara, M-A-R-A. And Loring writes, as the abutter in front of 27 Beacon Hill, I would like to offer my full support for their proposed addition. I hope the ZBA will grant its approval for the special permit. And that was on March 3rd. And that's the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question or speak against this application? If so, please indicate on the screen so that Sarah can recognize you.
I see no one. However, I would like to know, Attorney Litchfield was correct that the HPDC approved this application without conditions on March 3rd. And just for your information, Ms. Avalar's address is 2295 Main Street.
Okay, thank you. 22.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll have questions from the board. Dave Thompson.
Dave Thompson has no questions of Bill.
Dave Veach.
Dave Veach has no questions.
Paul.
This is Paul Semple. I don't know whether I have a question or an observation. It seemed to me when I went out to the property, if I pulled in front of where the garage would be going, the only way to get out was to back out into the cul-de-sac. Is there going to be enough room there for cars to maneuver around on the in front of the garage?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, in my experience, there was no difficulty whatsoever backing out. As shown there on the driveway, I understand what you're saying. We may have to extend the driveway a little further to the west, but if we need to, we will. It's not an enormous lot, but there is, in my opinion at least, there's room to do that.
Okay, well, that was the only concern I had.
Buck.
I have none.
Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, no, I have no questions at this time.
Oh, and Bill, my question was the same that you heard from Paul, that there's ought to be some consideration of the ability to turn on the property as opposed to backing onto the street or backing into your neighbor's driveway. So, you know, just I will just simply state that. That's all. Okay. So let's, Paul, I think we can go into and have a motion, but yeah, motion, please.
I see that there is a hand that's been raised. I wonder if we need some comment before we go into deliberations.
Okay.
Hi, it's Nikki Lasella. I raised my hand. I'm the owner of the property. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. As far as backing out, when we pull up now, we pull our cars directly where the garage would be. And if you back up towards the fence, I don't know how to describe it. You back up and turn your wheel to the right, I guess. So you back up towards the existing fence. There's plenty of room to back up and pull out straight. We do it all. That's the way we do it. We've done it all the time like that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the explanation.
And thank you.
Okay,
That was my husband.
well, there you go. All right, so back to a motion.
Yep, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we're gonna vote on that. Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Semple votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Dennis,
Sullivan votes yes.
Dave Thompson? No, you can't vote. Sorry. I'll vote yes. All right. So we're into deliberation. So Buck,
Well, it certainly meets our criteria, and I don't think it's detrimental to the neighborhood, so I'll support it.
Dennis,
Yeah, it certainly meets all our standards and I would support it.
Dave Thompson.
If I was voting, I would vote in favor of it. It's a very, very nice looking project. Wouldn't mind it in my neighborhood.
I agree with all previous, not substantially more detrimental and meets all our criteria.
Okay, Paul?
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I agree. It's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, so I will vote in favor of it.
Okay, Dave Veach, may I ask you if you believe any sort of a condition is necessary on this?
Well, I don't think so, no. I think that, they had, neighbors seem to be in favor of it. There's the Beacon Hill is a cul-de-sac. There might be times when there's vehicles parked out there of necessity. I don't see that as a problem in this location. I think as long as they're reasonable during the construction process, that it could work. I don't know that we need to condition it. But I could go along if others feel they want to condition.
Okay, Paul, do you feel that we should have a condition?
Well, I guess my question would be, is it their intention to have all of the construction activity and so forth on site?
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes, please.
We will certainly do everything we can. We have and have had for years a very good relationship with the few neighbors on Beacon Hill. And we would prefer that there not be a seasonal limitation because the Losellas would like to get moving on this project, but we will cooperate fully. And I think the reputation of our general contractor, Mr. Sello, is reasonably well known, and he's literally around the corner for his office. So we will do all that we can to ensure that there is no blockage of Beacon Hill, and we will do our best to keep all vehicles on the site. There may be some occasions where cars or trucks will have to wait in Beacon Hill, but there's room for passage of another vehicle at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that satisfies my concern. Dave Veach and Paul, is that enough for you too?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Yes, I think that representation is fine. So I'll move to approve the application as submitted.
And I will second David Veach.
Okay, we need to vote on that. Dave Veach?
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Dennis?
Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Mr. Litchfield and your clientele.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay. We need to go on to approval of minutes.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the minutes as submitted.
And what date was that?
This is
February 25th.
Thank
February
you.
20th. I knew that, yes.
David Veach seconds.
That was a question. That was going to trip you up, Paul. All right. We need to vote on that. Dave Veach?
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Dennis?
Sullivan votes yes.
And I vote yes. And I think that's it. Is there anyone who wants to have are there any public comments that you know of, Sarah?
Well, aside from Mr. Litchfield and his clients, it doesn't appear any members of the public are in attendance.
Well, okay, that takes care of that. So we need to have a motion to end the meeting. And everybody's going to vote on that. So
This is
Paul,
Paul Semple. I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
David Veach seconds.
okay, we need to vote on that. So Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Zapple votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Dennis,
Sullivan votes yes.
Dave Thompson,
Yes.
and I vote yes. That's unanimous. So I believe, Sarah, here on Stage Island, it's 4:51. How about Eastham?
4:51 as well. We are
All right.
officially adjourned.
Very good. All right. Thank you, everybody.